I'm very recently diagnosed, I suppose, about 3 weeks ago. It's really exciting to be connecting those dots.
I'm pretty weird, openly pretty weird. And I would tell people, just pretend everyone is a robot or a hallucination.
2 weeks ago, I self-diagnosed myself. I'm a little bit nervous that you might all say, no, go away, you don't belong here.
Being blunt is not a very feminine way to be.
But I guess for me, that's come at a pretty high cost behind closed doors.
Hi everyone, Paul Micallef here from Autism from the Inside. Today we are joined with 5 women from across the globe discussing this topic of what it means to be high masking.
I live in an elderly people's community, and it's desperately boring. I've never liked chit chat, but sometimes I can do it and sort of enjoy it. But it's just so boring, and they can't cope with it. So I say I'm masking because they can't cope with it, not because I need to for me.
It's suppressing parts of myself that I would benefit from expressing, and it's doing things that aren't natural to me and make me uncomfortable. Just trying to become like a society's normal. But I guess for me, that's come at a pretty high cost behind closed doors, with things like constant meltdowns, extreme fatigue, pretty serious damage to mental health and personal relationships, and kind of a slide into suicidal ideation if I let it continue.
I would have said I didn't think I masked that much. Because I'm pretty weird. But I was using a lot of humor that people laughed and thought I was being funny on purpose, and they were the things that I was really thinking. But I also think masking is internal facing as well, because I had a lot of reasons that I had, ways I had explained my differences to myself. So I had a lot of kind of rationalizations and excuses that I had to unpack to actually understand my own experience. I had denied a lot of my own experience.
When I think about this, I just think about how difficult it has been for me to sort of recognize masking. I started really, really, really early in life. And when you start that early, it's equally, much less sort of constructing this external thing. It's kind of equally turning it sort of inward and doing this work of kind of undermining and dismantling any sense of myself so that I could kind of rebuild it to whatever it needed to be. But it's so much more this kind of sort of impossibly open-ended question of who am I? That's kind of, it has become sort of only answerable in the context of other people's sort of interests and priorities.
Masking takes up so much energy. I worked in the advertising industry and I could have made a career there, except when my 8 hours had passed, I just had to go home. There is the mask that camouflages my autistic traits. And, I can do that at that chit-chat party level, the small talk. But then there is another level of it. As a young female, I ended up in some toxic situations. And then to show up at work the next day, come into the office and put on that extra layer of a mask, I'm okay. My house is burning down, but I can let you know that I'm okay.
All the girly things that you don't want to do, all the shopping with a friend who's going, oh, this is a nice pink blouse. Oh, no. And they go, all this, can't be doing with that. I go in and I take the first thing. But I do sometimes pretend to look at several things. But I usually go back to the first one. Well, I've got a very good friend who stood by me. But I said to her I was autistic, and she got no idea what autistic for women is. They all think it's staring at a tape recorder or something. So I can't say to her, yes, I've self-diagnosed myself, and she's just not going to be able to take it in. So I have to sort of respect where she is. But she's been a terrific friend, and she puts up with me being weird. So
I think a lot of us have experiences of our bodies and our experiences and our interests that don't fit the category woman in a very narrow definition. In terms of masking, a lot of masking that I have found is like trying to do things, not just like the shopping stuff. Like I've pretended to be interested in baby showers. It's doing the things girls do sometimes also when I have no interest in them, or they're uncomfortable or make my skin crawl, or not speaking out about not being interested in them, just staying really quiet and on the edge of the group and just not saying what you think or contributing, because if you do, then you are in some way kind of spitting on the womanhood, because women can't contain multitudes for them.
I think there's a higher expectation on women to do those social niceties, the making calls and the chattering and the small talk. To me, that would be kind of inane, surface level fluff that is really taxing to do and really difficult to figure out how to do, or trying to engage and then accidentally centering yourself in that. And it's like, I'm just trying to participate. I really don't want to talk to you about anything that's not politics or history today. Thanks. But I think there's a really high level of expectation of how women chatter and chatter broadly, not just like vocally, but that sort of social interaction that is quite heavy.
You know, there are these gender expectations. Being blunt is not a very feminine thing, feminine way to be. So you get that extra rejection for being, I'm just stating a fact. And I know you should be soft and you should sugarcoat it and don't be so cold with us. And another thing that I found is, you know, women tend to have more commitments in unpaid work. In the family, in the household, it's always the woman who still carries more of the household work. So there's just always constant distraction. You know, now looking backwards, I can point at other times when, you were revealing autism to yourself then. But there was just always too much distractions with many roles and expectations on me.
I'm really conflicted about this question because on the one hand, I absolutely completely recognize like all of the standards, right, that are applied to how women interact with people in the world, and absolutely to all of the what I consider just girl group socializing. I'm terrible at it. I can do it maybe for about 30 minutes. So that sense, I want to say, well, like as a woman, like it's like, yeah, there is this like enormous expectation to mask a whole lot all the time and be so perfect at it. And on the other hand, I also feel like when I look at some of my male friends, like I do feel like I have a lot more leeway in certain areas of expressing myself. I think I can get away with a lot of like the quirky thing, the quirky kind of kid vibe is not something I think my male friends on the spectrum could ever get away with. Does that offset all of the expectations? But to me, that is, I do find at the same time, there are all these expectations that like there are many more choices for me in how I present myself.
I don't think I want the world to know. I don't think they can cope with it. It would be nice if they would let me talk about speaking to Russians and Ukrainians. And we have a lot of Ukrainians over here in Britain at the moment, and they need to learn English. And it's now coming in very useful. I couldn't have foreseen that, but...
What do I want the world to know is I cannot bring my best to my work functions if I cannot be open and honest and transparent about this is how I operate. My employers are really losing a lot of my capacity by not offering the kind of work environment where I could be transparent and honest with my neurodiversity.
To people who are caring for or friends with neurodivergent people, it's just about allowing safe space. Like, I mean, just think like you want safe space for yourself. Of course you do. We all do. So just understand that our safe space is probably going to look different. And that's not weird. Just let whatever happens, and be there when you're autistic. needs some picking up and some cuddling and some comfort and safety.
I really don't get subtlety because I'm capable of understanding them. I'm just not going to notice it. Body language things happening that like there's an unspoken communication happening. I'm not going to see it. If you could just assume I didn't and tell me, so many things will be easier. And in situations where people were direct with me, we got on fine. And in situations where people would not give me that accommodation, like I didn't have a diagnosis, therefore I was just being difficult. Autism is characterized by a spiky cognitive profile. You can be really, really, really good at some things and really, really, really bad at other things, and it's not going to be predictable.
I'd like people to know that I'm not arrogant. I'm not trying to intimidate anyone by, being smart or something like that. And that as well as I can explain certain things, like there are a lot of stupid questions that I'm not asking, that I would love to know the answers to. I'm really curious about a lot of things that I just don't know how to ask about.